Good evening, everyone. Now I request the dignitaries to please be on the dais. Good evening, everyone present here. On behalf of NEP Cell, UGC HRDC, and IQSC University of Mumbai, and RUSA Maharashtra State, I welcome the dignitaries on stage, Professor Ravindra Kulkarni, Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, Principal Dr. Ajay Bhamre, Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, Professor B. Mahadevan, Professor, Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. I also extend welcome to the members of Academic Council, Board of Studies, all principals and directors of affiliated colleges and recognized institutions, heads, directors of university academic departments, all college and university teachers, college management representatives, and students of various undergraduate, postgraduate, and PhD programs of University of Mumbai to the Plenary Talk, which is the first session on NEP 2020 Implementation Celebration Week. Today's Plenary Talk on a very pertinent topic, Indian Knowledge System, Time to Reclaim the Lost Ground, is being delivered by a very eminent professor and thinker, Professor B. Mahadevan, professor at renowned institution, Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. Now I request Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Ravindra Kulkarni sir, to kindly felicitate Professor B. Mahadevan. Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Smita Shukla, Director, IQSC University of Mumbai, to kindly felicitate our Vice Professor, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Ravindra Kulkarni sir. Now I request Professor K. Shanti, Madam, Director, UGC HRDC, University of Mumbai, to kindly felicitate Professor, Principal Dr. Ajay Bhamre, Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai. Now I invite Professor Smita Shukla to give introduction of the plenary speaker, Professor B. Mahadevan.
Professor B. Mahadevan is a professor of operations management at the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, where he has been teaching since 1992. He was the founding Vice Chancellor of Chinmaya Vishwa Vidyapeeth, a university of Sanskrit and Indic knowledge, and in this assignment he was responsible for creating new generation of academic programs in higher education space that seamlessly blend ancient Indian knowledge traditions with contemporary knowledge system. He was also Dean Administration of IMB and a member of Governing Board of IIM Bangalore for 4 years. Professor Mahadevan is also in the board of IIM Kashipur and IIT Madras. He is also in the International Advisory Board of California Management Review, and earlier he was in the board of Indian Oil Corporation and Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangatana. Professor Mahadevan has received his MTech and PhD from Industrial Engineering and Management Division of IIT Madras. He holds a bachelor's degree in Engineering, Production Engineering from College of Engineering, Wendy, Madras. Professor Mahadevan has 30 years of wide-ranging experience in teaching, research, consulting, and academic administration at IIM Bangalore and other reputed institutions like IIT Delhi, XLRI Jamshedpur. He was a visiting scholar at Amos Tuck School of Business Administration and Dartmouth College, New Hampshire. He was also a retainer consultant to Deloitte Consulting LLP, USA. Professor Mahadevan is member of various editorial boards, various journals, including IIM Bangalore Journal, Management Review, Production and Operations Management Journal, and the International Journal of Business Excellence. He was also in the International Advisory Board of California Management Review. He has served in the editorial board of Six Sigma and Competitive Advantage. Professor Mahadevan was conferred with ICFAI Best Teachers Award by Association of Indian Management Schools in 2005. He was one among the 40 nominated globally for the Economic Intelligence Unit Business Professor Year Award of 2012. Professor Mahadevan has published several of his research findings in leading journals such as California Management Review, European Journal of Operation Research, Interfaces, Production and Operations Management Journal, Asian Journal of Operations Management, and others. Apart from his best-selling books on operations management, Professor Mahadevan is also author of The New Manufacturing Architecture, and he has recently co-authored a book, Introduction to Indian Knowledge System Concepts and Applications. Professor Mahadevan has been playing a very significant role in the field of Sanskrit and Samskrit for the past 20 years. These include visioning and execution of Sanskrit promotion activities in India, abroad, through a variety of roles in Samskrit Bharati, including being president of Samskrit Bharati Trust. He is also shaping the trajectory of Sanskrit education space in the country by providing thought leadership initiatives, including all Sanskrit University vice chancellors. And Sir has been helping the government in policy decision making through membership in Central Sanskrit Board and invited membership in Rashtriya Sanskrit Parishad. I welcome our guest of the day, Professor B. Mahadevan, to address the audience.
Professor Ravindra Kulkarni and members of the Mumbai University. In fact, it was a very accidental sort of a conversation, and I readily agreed to come here. I thank you for this opportunity, and I'm very happy to see a large number of people here to share some of my thoughts on Indian knowledge systems. Although I have been I would say I am still, why I should have been, I am still a student of Indian knowledge systems in its own right. I've been, thinking about it. My thoughts have been seriously influenced, morphed, changed, etc., over the last maybe 35 years. The culmination of all of that was when I put it to writing. Many of my academic colleagues here understand what is the value of writing. We have a lot of thoughts. When you write, it gets much more crystallized. That's why we should write. So when I wrote this book on Indian knowledge systems, it was a personal eye-opener for me. Although I knew many of the things that I was talking about, I think when I really put it in the form of a book, I realized the kind of a treasure that we are having. So I will take about an hour to sort of share some of my thoughts. I mean, I have written a nearly 400-page book. You can't talk 400 pages, I will sort of give you a trailer of things that I have personally experienced and put it into a formal thought. Can I? Yeah, it's in HRDC. Okay. Okay, so I have titled my talk today as Time to Rekindle, Rejuvenate, or Resume, or to recover the lost ground, whichever way you want to understand it. So what I will do is, I will start with a passage, and I will read the passage the way it has to be read. That's the most important thing. So let me first read it, because I have also learned Rig Veda, I have learned Yajurveda and so on. This is a very important text in Rig Veda. So let me first read it the way it has to be read, and then let's look at what's happening. So let me do that. Na sadasi no sada asit tadanim nasid rajono vyoma paroyat kimavari vakuhakasya sharman ambakuma asit kima asit gahanam gabhiram na mrityura asid amritam na tarhi naratrya anha asid praketah anidavatam swadaya tadekam tasmadhanyanya parakinchanasa. This is how we have to recite it. There was a reason why I recited this. I think 90% of the audience would think there is one Purohit coming and doing some mantra. Right? Oh, there is some puja is going on, maybe some mantra is being recited. Indians think like that. This is one of the most researched sukta in Rig Veda. I don't know how many of you know. This sukta is called Nasadiya Sukta. It is called Nasadiya Sukta because it starts with Nasadiya. That is the starter of this mantra. It's a beautiful 8 mantras. That's all. 8 into 2, 16 lines. I recited the first 2 mantras. You just go and Google Nasadiya Sukta. I'm not going to waste my time why this is important. Because origin of universe, cosmologists are all reading this. Yet, I'm not talking about foreigners. I'll talk only about Indians today. Yet, a lot of Indians will think if somebody recites like this, there is some useless mantra is being told, or it is all religious. It is all for rituals, etc., etc. There are some beautiful conceptualization of origin of universe in these mantras, actually. That is what it is. So I want to start with this first, because the next 1 hour, as I told you, what I wrote in 450 pages cannot be spoken in an hour, but I would certainly like to demystify IKS. There is a problem with all of us, with us. Let's talk about foreigners later. There's a problem with us. We think IKS is so let's start there. Really, we'll have to start there. So if you ask what is ancient Indian wisdom, I asked this question for 20 years to a variety of people. I have very pointed question. So this you can see as results of my survey over 20 years, if you wish, right? And Indians, not foreigners. Okay? If I ask them, what is it? What is this Indian knowledge system? Well, they say it is mythology. This mythology is a very interesting word. I don't know how many of you have actually analyzed this. There are 2 parts to it, myth and ology. Ology means science. Myth means non-existent. When we say Krishna is myth here, Puranas is translated today as mythology. Please stop doing it. There are Sanskrit non-translatables. Purana is not equal to mythology. For Westerners it is, because for them Rama doesn't exist, Krishna doesn't exist. So it is myth. But then we very casually, we have been taught English by foreigners. So we use it that way. So mythology. They say, what is Indian knowledge system? Mythology. What we meant was Puranas and stories and itihasas and so on. But I want you to understand the epistemology of the word mythology. Then you'll understand what are we talking. Okay? Well, it is all a set of religious prescriptions, a bunch of do's and don'ts and etc., matters of blind faith. So I used to tell people, faith does not need actually an adjective called blind, because faith is blind by definition. Proof of existence is strictly unnecessary. That's the definition of faith. If your heart is paining, have faith on the cardiologist. Otherwise, you'll prove your point posthumously. Without faith, we cannot live. Please understand. If you have a heart, your heart is aching, if a cardiologist says that you have to tear open and stitch it, have faith. Life is possible. Nobel laureate's only raw material is faith. I have written and talked about it in great detail elsewhere. The Nobel laureate's only raw material is faith, nothing else. He doesn't know what he will find, but he knows there is something interesting, period. Faith is very important. So I used to tell, remove the word blind. Faith has to be blind. That's the very definition of... Anyway, well, some people say it is science, some people say it is meta-science. A small proportion says that. If I ask, where is it? Well, it's all almost extinct, or incomprehensible, uninteresting, too difficult to cull out. So this is the value we have put on our millennia-old repository of knowledge. This is the value we have put. I mean, I want you to touch your heart and then reflect on this. We don't have to get into argument. If finally come to a conclusion, this is wrong, I am fine with that. I have not come here to say this or that. I am just saying what I have heard from a large number of people and what my view is. Okay? Now, why do we need it? Well, there are a whole lot of lists I have found. Okay? They say, it's a saffron agenda. They say, oh, well, it is all unqualified glorification of the past, etc., etc. No material gains. I mean, I have been shot back with this question. Will it provide 2 meals a day for the poor? I thumb the desk and say no. Chandrayaan 3 will not feed $700 million satellite will not give 2 meals a day. I want you to understand this. It will not give 2 meals a day for a poor. Okay? But that satellite, INSAT 1B, will actually predict the weather better, climate better, etc., etc. Therefore, food production may increase, your cropping pattern may improve. All that can happen. So it will have an indirect benefit, no direct benefit. This belongs to that category. It belongs to the satellite category. So I tell them no. Directly it won't, but indirectly it can. Because it changes world view, it changes quality of life, it changes our approaches to many things that we do, which we are not aware of. We are 200 years behind what we were. Anyway, so these kinds of things. So the point is, what do we do with this Indian knowledge system today? There is something called Indian knowledge. What do we do with that? So I have thought about it. All these are out of my experience of interacting with people for the last 30 years also. One possibility is you can abandon them. That's the easiest thing. Anyway, too difficult to cull out, etc., etc., etc. Easiest thing is to abandon them. Or this is a second preoccupation of Indians. Put a Bhagavad Gita book in the puja room, never open it. Whereas I offer a Bhagavad Gita elective, 500 students compete for it, but I offer one section of 80. With great pressure, I make it 160, and then I cannot teach more than that. For the last 12 years, I am offering a very successful elective on Bhagavad Gita in management. Solid management. I don't sit down and then recite and ask people to recite 3 times. I don't do all that. Because I have unearthed phenomenal amount of material from Bhagavad Gita alone for management. I am a professor of management. I have unearthed quite a bit from Upanishads. Some of my top management programs, people know in IIM Bangalore, Mahadevan comes, he'll talk Ken Upanishad or Kata Upanishad, but all solid material. Nobody is going to listen for 30 hours and all. This session is a 30-hour session. No? You can't do Katha Kalashepa for 30 hours. That's not going to work. But that's what we do. Keep it in a puja room, every day put a flower, and that's it. That's another possibility with Indian knowledge system. Or you can take positions without knowing anything. People say Bhagavad Gita is all religious. Some of my colleagues say that. I tell them I'm a good researcher. I don't have a habit of discussing with people who don't know. I ask them, have you read Bhagavad Gita? Do you know Sanskrit? They say they don't know. Then they say, I will not talk to you. Because I will not I can't go to an economist and go and like an idiot go and talk economics with him, or a polymer chemist. I am not a polymer chemist. I am a Chota management professor. How can I go and talk about anesthesia to some specialist in anesthesia? But there are a lot of people who think you have to go to the rooftop and say all these are nonsense without even reading and contemplating what it is. Anyway, that's another possibility. There is a fourth category which is an emerging category now. You have to simply glorify the past without knowing what is there in it. There are people of India have become clearing houses. Morning 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, all WhatsApp, it will all come from here. You have to transfer it here. India is great, Sanskrit is great. I ask them, do you know Sanskrit? I don't know. Why are you forwarding this here? You are wasting your time and my time. You don't know Sanskrit, But there is some forward which says Sanskrit is great. Immediately you, 1,000, WhatsApp, you can distribute it. Or go to some conferences and say India is great and all that. I have stopped attending such conferences because it's not making much sense to me. So this is another possibility. This is what people are doing by and large. Indians doing about Indian knowledge system. Whereas I want to say there are two more possibilities. Get to know firsthand. If you are a good researcher, please read before you write the first sentence. That's what I do as a researcher. No? That's how we got our PhD. Did you write simply without anything? You started writing some paper? We don't. You read seminal papers. You understand the structure, what is inside, then make a comment. Let's do that. Particularly since there is an assembly of academics, I want to say this. So we have to first get to know firsthand. Then of course one can explore new paradigms and so on. Now with this quick background, let me get into a little bit of detail. Now you may say, no sir, all these are fine. Give me some much more convincing reasons why I should read IKS. So let me give you 2 or 3 very important. My book starts with these ideas in any case. Indian knowledge system is not about knowing some ancestral knowledge. It's all about received wisdom. I teach strategy. In strategy, there is something called path dependence. The path that you walk is a function of the path that you already walked. How can you cut it off and then start all over? I mean, that's a foolish idea. In management, we don't teach like that. Gary Hamel and Prahalad, they have written a lot of work on what is called path dependence. So every society has a path. We should first know the path. There is a received wisdom. There is economic security, which I will talk about. Of course, there is a national pride, etc., etc. Now, about this economic part, I will talk. I will give you a very compelling reason why we can't keep quiet about IKS. We will be the biggest fools if we do it. So I will give you 2 contrasting examples. Then you get a sense of what we are talking. An US company was awarded a patent for neem as a pesticide. Any 90-year-old lady in any length and breadth of this country, go and ask, she will talk about it. It's our cultural practice, neem as a pesticide. We could not actually prevent this World Intellectual Property, USPTO, United States Patent Technology Office, which gives patent. We could not defend. Because you can't simply go and say, no, my great-grandfather 3,000 years back talked about him. He said, hell with you, go show me something. I myself don't. This is like WhatsApp forward. I don't know what it is. I keep talking. This is a situation we are on. So we failed. We could not. We lost this patent. We just lost it because we could not argue. Then came another story. Dr. Mashelkar was actually the Director General of CSIR. He put a battery of 150 people for 7 years, 8 years for fighting something which is obvious. We all know it day by day. Turmeric is used for healing the wounds. I remember when I was a child, when I got hurt, my grandmother will take turmeric, rub it on the stone, put some common salt and then apply it on my wound. 3 days it will be okay. 2 Indians actually from here, they went to University of Mississippi and they were trying to file a patent based on some 30-year, 40-year-old data. This patent, without getting into the complexity of the technicality of what is patent, X said I know it today, Y said I know it yesterday, patent has to be given to Y. At the end of the day, that is what patent is. In simple, I am making it simple for you. Now, if you have to say I know it yesterday, you should first know, no? First of all, you should know. First of all, you should know where it is, and you should be able to take it and show it to whoever is adjudicating. This is where Indians will lose. The next 100 years is not military power. It's a knowledge society. The next 100 years is all about intellectual property rights, and this country has phenomenal. In fact, in my first chapter 1 of my book, I say I am using a terminology which the Westerners are using. The Dark Ages is extremely bright in India. Because in that 1000 BC is called Dark Ages. We have already written so many things by 1000 BC. I cannot call it as dark. It is very bright. But still I use that terminology to classify my literature. So this country is sitting on several millennia of knowledge. Who is going to look at it? Like a fool, are we going to just keep quiet and see patents being taken all over the place? In Germany, Gayatri Mantra has got a geographical local patent, I am told. What is going on here, and are we aware of it? Do you think it is our problem? I want you to ask that question. And if you think it is our problem, step in today evening, you take a pratigna. In my area, I will read. You don't have to read all kinds of things. I am a chemistry. Start with Professor Rai's Hindu Chemistry, for wonderful book. If you say I am a metallurgist, there is enough material to read. You can just start with the INSA book or handbook on science and technology. That's a beautiful book to start. And then you can go on. Or if you say, no, all these are fine, we will be enslaved. 500 years is too little, another 2000 years, let us be like that. The choice is ours. So Indian nervous system, I am not come here to tell you, wave your patriotism. I am not saying that. As a business school professor, I am telling you, there is a materialistic benefit to Indian knowledge system. Don't leave it. And if you have to, ride this cusp of India, knowledge society, globalized knowledge society, we need IKS. Otherwise, we lose all patent wars. Squarely, we will lose. Heads down. Anyway, so let's first define Indian knowledge system. It's very important because all kinds of definitions are floating all around the place. So let me first define Indian knowledge system for you. As you know, there are three terms there. The first term is Indian. Indian is indigenous source of knowledge generated by the Indian society. But Indian has two very specific meanings according to my research when I wrote the book. There is a geographical meaning and there is a demographical meaning. Geographical meaning is Akhanda Bharat. 1947 is just a political formation for convenience. This country never started in 1947. 7,000 years back we have written something. Culturally we are bound with the same idea. So it is Akhanda Bharat. Geographically it is Akhanda Bharat. Today's political formation, let it be anything. When I say Indian knowledge, Panini does not belong here, unfortunately, in today's thing. Whereas Panini is the master behind the entire idea of phonetics and linguistics the world ever knew. Computer scientists better read Panini's Ashtadhyayi, recursive algorithm, linked list, data representation. You name anything, I can separately talk about it. How he has done it in 2600 BC. Where did he live? In Afghanistan. That was part of the Akhanda Bharat. Then there is a demographic definition of Indians. Indians are those, in fact, my first revelation when I started writing the book is, I stopped reading all translated work by the Europeans. In fact, in my book I have given specific examples how it can be totally misleading. There is one Shatapatha Brahmana, in which there is one chapter 26. And there is one Dutch philosopher by name Calland, William Calland, very reputed scholar. So he translates Shatapatha Brahmana. The earth is separated from the heavenly bodies by stacking 100 cows one over the other. Anybody will laugh at such. Then people will say, what nonsense is going on in the Shatapatha Brahmana? We have access to only such literature on Indian knowledge system. I want to tell you that. And do you know why he wrote that? Because Uttarodara Shatagavanam, that is how it is coming. Gava, he immediately took a dictionary. Go means cow. Whereas there is something called Nirukta. There are 38 meanings for go. Nirukta is the dictionary for Vedic. There are 38 meanings for go. One of them is earth itself. So the distance to diameter ratio between sun and the earth, moon and the earth is 108.22 and 108.33. If you take the distance to diameter ratio, that is what is being written there. Shata Gavanam, put 100 earths one over the other, you will reach the other side. So the first thing is, Indian knowledge system cannot be written by other than Indians. Because there are some agenda and all the agenda part you leave it. Genuinely, you try telling your joke in English, people will cry instead of laughing. Because language preserves a lot of ideas, please understand. You cannot translate from language A to language B and get everything. Raja Ravivarma's painting has to be seen in color, don't see black and white. You'll get the substance but not the spirit. Raja Ravivarma's painting don't see in a black and white. See the original. So Indians are those who lived here, breathe through this culture, then they read this text. So Max Muller will not fit into this discussion. I have read some of these and then I just discarded all of them because I was not in agreement with that. Fortunately, I know a reasonable amount of Sanskrit. I have been able to read the original text and understand where things are going. So on the other hand, there is one lady who came to Calcutta University in 1920. Stella Krimrish. If you want to know anything about Hindu temple, read her book. 20 years she spent there. She lived like an Indian. Most authentic book on Hindu temples is Stella Krimrish. She has written a good book on Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. So demographically, those who don't have to have a passport, Indian passport, those who have breathed through this country, lived through this culture, that is a demographic definition of Indian. Then comes knowledge. Knowledge, of course, is insights and deep experiences, experimentation, analysis. Every society does that. To say our ancestors were all dogmatic are all very shallow ideas. It is time we have to challenge those objectively, not emotionally. Personally, I am a good researcher. I want to do research. So I will question all this not emotionally, objectively. I found our ancestors are hugely scientific. And they had very good systems in place. Just because we don't know and somebody told us some 200 years back all these are nonsense, we all think that's how it is, and it's time we dip into it. Our society also does deep experiences, observation, experimentation, analysis, etc., etc., etc. Through that, knowledge always comes. It's tacit knowledge. After that, it becomes explicit knowledge. Right? Now, in the Indian context, knowledge has two parts. One is formal. Formal can be lipi, written, right? Or knowledge can also be informal. What I mean is oral tradition. This is the only country you travel on the road, every 50 kilometers, the taste on your tongue will change. Because that much variety is there in our food and many other practices. The dosa you eat from Kashmir to Kanyakumari will be of 200 different tastes. It is dosa or chapati for that matter. There is a lot of informal oral language. The Vedic language is oral tradition, but it is formal because it has a lipi. I am not talking about oral tradition alone. There are some which have no lipi, but there is a lot of grandmother's oral, tribal health traditions. Health tradition is very rich in oral. So all those are language. And it provides spiritual, religious, and all other dimensions of life. And of course, then the third part is system. System is a very structured methodology and a classification scheme. I have attempted some nice schemes. I will show you one scheme in the book. I will just show you one scheme, which is what I used for the rest of the book in any case. So this is how I classified Indian knowledge systems. Okay? You have literary, non-literary. Then in the literary, you have Sanatana Dharma is one major corpus. Other dharmic tradition in this country are particular. I have taken, of course, you have to add Sikh and Sikhs and all that. I have gone up to 1200 CE. Because, otherwise you have to scope it. For the purpose of the book, I went up to 1500 CE or something, 400 or something. Otherwise, I would have added even the other traditions also. But anyway, Buddhist, Jain, then Sanatana Dharma. These are the major traditions. And all of them contributed. In the Sanatana Dharma, there is a core literature which can be classified with what is called Chaturdasha Vidyasthana. It's there in Vishnu Purana, it is there in Manusmriti. They have said how to classify this whole thing. And of course, many don't know the second part. The second part is my book. My book is full of second part. There's a little of the first part. 3/4 of the book is on the second part, which is about metallurgy, about chemistry, about health, wellness, psychology, public administration, whatnot. And the only complaints I get is, sir, you should add aesthetics. I said, I'm aware of it, second edition. There's only so much I could take it in the first edition. I'm very aware that aesthetics is the greatest tradition in this country. I haven't added it. And plant sciences. These two I know. There were a few observations came. I said, I'm very aware of it. I'm deferring it because I could not put everything in one place and so on. Buddhists have a lot. Jains and Buddhists have a lot of material on math. Very good material on math. 2,700 years, there was an attempt by the Jain monks to estimate the number of living beings in the world, 2 power 196 or some such number. Surds, powers, they are all very good in all that. Buddhists have mathematics. Buddhists have what is called shipbuilding ideas are there. In fact, Gautama Buddha, I don't know how many of you know, Gautama Buddha Swayamvara, he married after only he was a prince of Kapilavastu, no? You know what was the Swayamvara for him? quiz on mathematics. None of us would have got married with those questions. Because he was asked a number, one sage by name Arjuna asked him a number which is actually 10 power 58. It is called Tallakshana. And Buddha gives an answer. He gives that number, how it comes and so on. Then he tells the sage, sir, I will tell you another mechanism that we have. Counting mechanism. And he gives a complex formula. 2n plus 7 times something something. There is some formula. If you put n equal to 0, you will get 10 power 58. If you put n equal to 1, you will get 10 power 99. If you put n equal to 8, which means 9 levels, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9 levels. If you put 10 power 9, you will get a number 10 power 421. For all these, there are Sanskrit names. That is what he answered. Buddhists have a very strong mathematics tradition. All those are there. I don't know how many of us. Lalita Vistarna. If you read Lalita Vistarna, you will find it. Which was written in 3rd century BC by the Mahayana Buddhists in Tibet. It was not autobiography, it is a biography written by one of his, that kind of a thing. Anyway, then you have a regional tradition which picked up all of them and put it in vernacular and added their local masala, because sometimes it is good to say in the local, then people understand it much better. It is this whole thing retold. So it's a voluminous. That's why you'll have Ramcharitamana, Valmiki Ramayana will become 20 versions now. Right? Bhagavad Gita, moment I say Bhagavad Gita, my hairs go, Jnaneshwar. I mean, Alandi, when I go to Pune, I find it very difficult sometimes to pass through the airport. Because that's the kind of culture we have. Jnaneshwari is a masterpiece. And Balagangadhara Tilak, when he was sitting in the prison, he wrote a commentary for Jnaneshwar and for Gita. And I have only an English version because I can't read Marathi. It's called Gita Rahasya. So, vernacular press is literature is huge by any stretch of imagination. Then you have a lot of oral tradition, no lipi. Chatusashti Kala Vidya, art forms, full health, food, life practices, folklore, no end. This is one classification I have attempted. And today people say IKS, religious. You know what is religious? One small bit in the first block. And you take a broad brush and paint the whole thing and say Indian literature is dogmatic and religious. That means that's the height of ignorance we have. You say it's a small portion on the first block on the left. You are not even aware of these kinds of things. So I will just show you a snapshot. So I will skip this. I have already spoken about all these kind of things. This is from 3000 BCE to 500 BCE. It is not an exhaustive list. I randomly picked a few names. We've listed Vedanga Jyotisha. Vedanga Jyotisha is actually, with today's astronomical instruments, they are able to precisely date it to 1380 BC, which is the 2nd millennia in the BC era. Like that. Sulba Sutras. It is so unfortunate. Shulba Sutras is taught as an elective in US and Canada called rope geometry. Sulba means thread. I'll show you one Sulba Sutra. I used to teach it in Chinmaya. I personally taught Sulba Sutra and a few things with all Sanskrit shlokas and all. In between, as Vice Chancellor, I'll take a little time and go and teach also because I have a passion for all this. Lord Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Jaina mathematical words. Arthashastra is a masterpiece. Every managed business school must teach Arthashastra. I have another elective now in IIM Bangalore in which I teach quite a bit of Arthashastra. Absolutely fabulous. Turnover tax, entry tax, everything, octra, everything written there. 26 different ways of collecting tax. Public administration governance, you have to learn from Arthashastra. Such details. When the accounts has to be submitted, first Amavasya after Ashada, you have to submit the books of accounts. And who are all should come and submit? The charm of Arthashastra is phenomenal detail. It's not just one motherhood statement. If you don't do it, what punishment? If you do it like this, what will happen? If you do it like this, what will happen? Direct rate of weights and measures. In what frequency you should calibrate. If you don't calibrate, what will happen? If you find something wrong, what will happen? If you want to teach customer orientation, read Arthashastra, book 3. founding principles of customer satisfaction orientation, Kautilya has written there. Like that. I'm just put a few, if I get in, I will get into too much detail, so let me not, This is from 500 to 1800. The way Indians have contributed to mathematics is not sporadic or, accidental. From 1st century BC up to Ramanujan, there is a complete train of building the theory, proving it, going to the next theory, proving it, going to the next theory. Complete. You can offer at least half a dozen electives only on Indian math for serious masters and PhD students. That much material is there. And if you want any help on it, Professor Ramasubramanian is just sitting in IIT Bombay. He is an ustad in mathematics. His PhD is on that. He unraveled the whole Kerala School of Maths. I think you can offer 3-4 very good electives only on Indian math and astronomy. A series of work. And then architecture. You have Samarangana Sutradhara. Okay? Bhopal is not Bhopal. It is Bhojpal. King Bhoja wrote Samaranga Sutradhara in the 11th century. That's how that city was built. It is called Bhojpal, not Bhopal. King Rajabhoj wrote Samarangana Sutradhara. It's one of the beautiful work on, I had the pleasure of reading it before I wrote my chapter on town planning and architecture. That's a very important work for North India, Samarangana Sutradhara. And you have Mayamatam, an important work for South India. You have Aparajata Pricha, which is the most important work for Gujarat and western part. If you want to know all that, you have to read that. So you name anything we have. So I will now get into very specifics. So far I have been flying at 10,000 feet. So let me bring you a little down in terms of, I will take a few examples which we all know. I want you to reflect on it. This is a gold coin of King Samudragupta, 300 CE, which means 1800 years back. I showed it to a metallurgist. I said, boss, what does it mean? He said, Professor Mahadevan, let me tell you, you know how to get that? First, you should know how to extract the metal. First, you have to find out where the metal is. You have to extract the metal. You have to refine and then take from the ore, you have to extract the metal. Then you have to do farming, embossing. He gave me a long list. He said, don't think that's a very casual thing. Unless a society is very involved in metallurgy, you can't do that. Or this 1st century BC, it is a gold ornament. He said, this kind of intricate thing you have to do, you need high-speed alloy steel as tools to form it. He said, all these are not possible. But we have been doing it for some 2000 years, more than that. So are you telling we are doing some Maya Jal and something comes out of it? No. There's hardcore science and technology behind this. You can say, I don't know. I am willing to agree to it. If you say, no, it came by Maya Jal, I am not going to agree to it because I am a researcher. I will go after it and then dig up material and try to find out what is going on rather than this easy route. Thanks to India, the world got zinc. Zinc, if there are metallurgists in this room, you will know, extracting zinc will vaporize at 500 degrees centigrade. At about 570 degrees centigrade, it will become zinc oxide. Then you can't catch it. If you want the metal zinc, you have to catch it between 500 and 550 degrees centigrade. Indians did it in BC with a process called downward, that is yantra, downward drift distillation process. Only in 17th century, Westerners knew it. And by 11th century, we had industrial scale production of zinc. Million tons. Go to Rajasthan and see the K3 mines and all that. IIT Kanpur has done a lot of work and with Hindustan Zinc and all that they did. They have unearthed a whole lot of, those practices are not there today. That's a sad part. I'll come to it later. But we taught the world how to get zinc. Okay? There is something called wood steel. I don't know how many of you have heard this. There is something called wood steel. The name is very interesting. This wood steel was exported from a place which is about 200 kilometers from Bangalore. It is a tri-junction of modern day Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka. That iron ore in that Chevrolet hills and all that. That's where they were actually making steel. Steel is actually ferrous carbon alloy. Iron plus carbon is steel. The wood steel is called urukku in Tamil, ukku in Kannada. That's why it's called woods. They didn't know how to. And this was exported where? To Rome and to Damascus. And the Damascus blades, which is for talvar, for fighting, were manufactured only with wood steel. You go and read all this. I'm not just saying something and going. That wood steel was supplied by India. And 1940, there was one material science conference in which I was reading. They said we still don't know how to recreate wood's composition. Today Indians also don't know. Why? Because Britishers put a mining ban. That I will come later. We just cut it off. Get lost. You cannot value create. You can only take ore and give it to me. You give me cotton, I will get back the cloth for you. Take the ore, I will bring the material. Railway lines are laid only for that. Don't think there was any great development which was in the radar of Britishers. You have to take this out. That's why you have the best railway lines in Kharagpur and Mumbai. Port and coal mines and all that kind of stuff. Kind of a thing. Anyway. You have seen this iron pillar. I am showing this because this is popular. You come to Karnataka, you come to a place called Kollur. Famous temple. 40 kilometers from Arabian Sea. There is an iron pillar which is 1,900 years old, which is also not rusting. They are all in the open. We have not put it on a strong room or a locker. They are all lying on the outside. The world doesn't know why this is not rusting. This speaks volume about Indian metallurgy. Orissa, you go to Puri, again on the sea coast. 377 iron beams are there in the Gundecha temple. We were extraordinarily good in metal and metalworking, not to speak of gold and silver. I mean, I'll get into too much detail if I go there. Just to tell you, we are simply too good. Otherwise, these artifacts you will not get, and people are now trying to figure out what to do with these artifacts. It doesn't rust. Nothing happens. It's out in the open. In Sushruta Samhita, you will find all these. And it is mentioned the tools are such, you can longitudinally split a hair. Hair is a micron thickness. So you can longitudinally, take a long hair and split it into two long pieces. Then think about the sharpness of these tools. And to fabricate these tools, you need high-speed alloys. Mahendra Varma, the Pallava king, started granite temples in this country. Before that, it was in the 8th century. Then people are saying granite is the hardest metal to work on. So how do you break it and make a temple? Today people are still figuring out what kind of methodology we used. Right? Without some high-speed alloy steels, you can't do any of this. Not possible. Okay, it will break otherwise. Arbitrarily you cannot put a bomb and then blast it to get beautiful shaped. The place I was born, I will show you one beautiful structure a little later. Every day you will read news about this being smuggled out or brought back. Do you know what precision with which this is done in a place called Kumbakonam in Tamil Nadu? 7th century CE to 11th century CE, Chola kings were absolutely fabulous in manufacturing these artifacts. And this was discovered in the 17th century by the French, called last wax casting process. Whereas that exact word is available in Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. It is called Madhuchishta Vidhanam. Uchishta is left out. Madhu is honey. So honey bee. That is what today they are using to replicate absolute. And this is Panchaloha. Indians know how to mix 5 metals and make it. You come to Tamil Nadu, you can buy Panchaloha idols. 5 of them. Iron, copper, gold, tin, lead, silver. 5 metals in a proportion they will actually make. Beautiful idols, little expensive, but you should buy one and keep it to remember what Indians can do. All these. It's called Madhuchishta Vidhanam. Of course, French people figured it out in the 17th century and so on. So much on metalworking. Now mathematics, volumes I can talk. I'll again peep in a little bit. This is called Diophantine equation. They're all complicated math. See, if you have n number of unknowns and n number of equations, you can solve one unique solution. Look at this here. W cube plus x cube equal to y cube plus z cube. What is the solution for this third degree, one equation, four unknowns? So this Greek person called Diophantine simply came with these equations. Indians solved these equations some 1200 years ahead of others. Ramanujan, there is a famous taxi problem. I don't know how many of you are aware of it. It's a Diophantine equation. 1729 solved a Diophantine equation. I mean, integer solution. Real solution you can get. You arbitrarily put some number and finally the balance you put it. Integer solution. What is the set of integer? Aryabhatta gave a set of integer solution possible from small number to a biggest number. It's not one solution. He said in this order you can find. It's called Kuttaka method, actually. So these are all called Diophantine equation. Look at this here. 95,800 raised to the power 4 plus 22, 217,519 raised. And how do you solve this? Actually, the solutions are not trivial. They are non-trivial. Aryabhatta was the first to propose a general method for solving it. You'll get a series of solutions for Diophantine. Okay? Brahmagupta in 628 handled more difficult Diophantine. You should read Brahmagupta's work, then you will know. Then you will understand what he has done. Brahmagupta's work is actually an encyclopedia. Mathematics is there, astronomy is there, love making is there. It's beautifully, I have read a few chapters, so beautifully he has written. It's actually an encyclopedia. Brihat Samhita. We don't know. So he came out with the procedure for this. Only in 1670, 1,000 years later, they figured it out. We only read this, nobody tells us about that. Today we are all told Diophantine, any MSc Max and Max professors will know. Diophantine means we will only read Pierre de Fermat. We should actually read Brahmagupta. Or Euler and all these people. Brahmagupta actually came with a modified version of the equation and solved it and showed solutions for it. Indians have solved some very interesting mathematical problems. So beautiful, actually. This is the history of pi is an irrational number. Look at Ramanujan here, 17 million digits accurate. Not 10 digits or 12 digits. 17 million digits. I don't even know, on one choir notebook you need to write the digits. That is Ramanujan's contribution. And this, Madhavacharya is a great Jain monk. No, not Madhavacharya, sorry. This is a Madhava of Kerala. This is different. Bhaskaracharya, 3.1416. Aryabhattiya, 3.1416. Jain text, 3.1623. Whereas Westerners used 3 for a very long time before they got into even 3.14. Even to know that it is approximate. Why Indians needed it? Because there is something called Garhapatya, Ahavaniya and Dakshina. Every one of us are supposed to keep 3 altars in our house. Shrautagni, Garhapatya, Ahavaniya and Dakshina. And the rule is, Garhapatya is actually round. Okay? Ahavaniya is square. But the rule is, the area must be same. So now we have to need pi now. Because a square is equal to pi r square, you have to solve. To make both the area equal, area of a circle is pi r square. Area of a square is a square. To get a value of a and r, you need pi. That is how Indians found it some 3,500 years back. Because they were doing all those altars. Actually. That's why our interest in pi grew at that time. We understood it was an irrational number. So many things happened. So there is something called Sulbha Sutra. Okay? See, there is a construction for a rectangle here. A square here. ABCD. But what is interesting is, the entire construction is done only with circles. Do you see anything other than a circle here? Half finished circle, full finished circle, whatever. Do you know why it is happening? Because Indians, you know what they used to do? They will put a stick, shanku, tie a sulba, thread. If you tie a thread on a stick, the only shape you can generate is circle, nothing else. But they wanted 77 different shapes for their yajna pita, yajna vedi, altar. 77 different shapes. They generated all the 77 different shapes only with a stick and a thread. That's called cyclic geometry in modern terms. That is the Sulba Sutra taught by some Canadian schools of mathematics and North American school of mathematics. They thought Bodhayana Sulba Sutra, let us teach. Katyayana Sulba Sutra we'll teach, because that looks very interesting. It's a construction thing are interesting. I used to teach a little bit from Bodhayana Sulba Sutra and all that in the Chinmaya University when I used to be there and so on. So just with the pole and all that, there is a shloka. If you follow the shloka, you will get this. Shloka is a procedure. Look at this. On the left, you have what is called magic square. Magic square means all rows will add up to the same number, all columns will add up to the same number, two diagonals will add up to the same number. Here the number is 34. You try anything, it will be 34. Whichever way you add. Add any row or any column or two diagonals, it will come to 34. There is something much more complex on the right side. This is called pan-diagonal magic square. What it means is, don't think of it as a sheet. Think of it as a cylinder. If you think of it as a cylinder, after this, the next diagonal fellow is this fellow. You know, it's like this, no? Or you roll it like this, torus. You either roll it like this. So I don't know how many diagonals are there now. So there is a procedure to get all diagonals same summation. So you try anything, it will get 34 here. Indians solved it in 1st century BC. One Nagarjuna Jain, Buddhist monk, solved it. But there is one Narayana Pandita in 1395, Kerala school, 1495, I don't remember. What he did was, he said, if you take a 4x4 pan-diagonal magic square problem and fill it from a number 1 to 16, you find only numbers 1 to 16 here, serially. He said there will be only 355 solutions possible. And he gave a beautiful algorithm. It's called Turagagati, like horse riding. 1920. Where is 1495? Where is 1920? In 1920, one American mathematician said there are only some 83, or I don't remember the number exactly, only that many possible. 8 years later, they said, no, it is 355. Finally, they settled this number, which is said some 600 years back. This magic square, this is called in Indian tradition, it's called Bhadra Ganita. You go to villages today, Madhya Pradesh and all these places, go to the villages today, traders will have a Bhadra, it's called Bhadra Ganita. They will actually have a magic square on their wall written. This was our tradition. It's Bhadra. You know, if you have to get married, they get a certain magic square of a certain number. Different summation is used for different things. It was our way of life. That's why it's called Bhadra Ganita. We solved it. But today we don't know. Because we think Indian knowledge system is all nonsense. All these we don't even know. Okay? When I was writing the book, I used to go to Chennai every month. My father passed away, monthly ritual. I used to go every month, drive from Bangalore to Chennai. Just before Kanchipuram, there used to be one signboard of a temple. The temple is called Tirupukuri in Tamil. It says Tirupukuri temple. Like an idiot, I was going every time passing that. When I was writing a book on mathematics, I read a paper by a German mathematician. You know what he has done? He has gone to the temple. That temple is from 6th century or 7th century. He has gone to the temple and he is showing that Indians at that time had not just linear measure, arc. Right? Arc is different from linear, no? So he says all these are carved in the temple. He wrote a paper. I was stunned. I said there is a treasure by the side. I was going through it every month. A lot of us are walking through a lot of treasures by the way. That's the point I am trying to make here. I mean, all these are available for somebody who wants to see. Otherwise, they are not available. This is 2nd century BC. Chandra Shastra, Pingala's Chandra Shastra. If you want to remember the entire Chandra Shastra, one mnemonic, Yamata Rajabana Salagam. There is one mnemonic is there. Yamata Rajabana Salagam. With this you actually know the entire... Indians had this way of practicing and memorizing complex things. See, he talked about in Chandas, you have Lagu and Guru. Lagu is Hraswa, in simple term, not exactly, I am using an approximate description. Lagu is simple, Guru is heavy, Dirga. There are some rules, but I am simplifying it for the sake of our understanding. And he has given some algorithms. Now in the last 100 years, some of the Indians, what they have done is, they said Lagu is equal to 1, Guru equal to 0. It's a fantastic binary math. In fact, in my book, I have given algorithms. Suppose you have a 10-digit binary number, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0. 10 digit means 2 power 10, 512 possible numbers are there. Pingala has given an algorithm, 2 algorithms he has given. Many, but I am talking about the 2. Suppose you want to know what is that binary array in row number 493. Suppose you want to know what is that number, or row number 147. He has given an algorithm to construct it. Conversely, you just give me an array, 10-digit array, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, some 10-digit. He will tell you in which row it is there. These are the sorting algorithms computer scientists have been struggling here. Nashta and Uddishta, and we read today what is called Pascal's triangle. It's called Meru Prasthara. So beautifully he has done it. Meru Prasthara. And in 1983, which is hardly 25 years back, one De Bruijn came with a sequence. It's called De Bruijn sequence. You can go and read it in Wikipedia. This is a De Bruijn sequence for a 3-digit binary number. There are 8 numbers possible in a 3-digit, 2 power 3. Do you know how to get that? Start from begin. What do you get? 1, 0, 0. Skip to the next, 0, 0, 0. Skip to the next, 0, 0, 1. Skip to the next, 0, 1, 0. You will get 8 numbers. This is exactly Yamata Rajabana Salagam. Ya is Lagu, so 1. Ma is Guru, Ta is Guru, so you get 0, 0. Ra is 0. Ja is Lagu, so 1. So you will get this in this formula. Yamata Rajabana Salagam is De Bruijn sequence of letter 3, which was proven in 1983. What are we sitting on? I have no idea. We have to figure it out for ourselves. So I'll get into other areas. In astronomy, there is a lot. I'm not getting in there. I just gave you a little bit of math. I have a separate chapter on astronomy. There's one chapter on mathematics in which all these details are there. Look at this. This is a place where I was born in Tamil Nadu. Do you know what this is? You can go, take a small piece, tap it, you get 7 notes of music. In a granite stone, Sari, Gama, Pada, Ni. These are all musical pillars. And cluster of 65. My first question was, it is not they have done Fevicol and then made 68 pieces and take Fevicol and then stick it. In a single boulder of graphite, granite, they have carved this out. How did they put their hand inside and carve it? You don't have to go that much. Go and see Kailasanatha temple here, so close to you. It's a marvel. People don't know how was it done. There are UNESCO reports which are saying these guys must be actually hanging upside down and doing it because they were excavating a rock and got a beautiful. It's amazing to see that. So if you have to do a musical pillar, first of all, you need metallurgy because you need high-speed metal alloys to carve it. You need sound engineering. You should know how Sari, Gama, Pada, frequency, whatever we read. All this is common in Tamil Nadu. There are many temples in Tamil Nadu where you will find actually, this is in Tirunelveli, a place called Tirunelveli. It's one of the largest temples in the district called Nellaiyappar temple. I was born very close to this place, so we used to go and just tap it without even knowing what are we doing. In Madurai, I'm native of Madurai. In Madurai, they put, because the tourist traffic is too much, they have now put a frame, and then I used to go as a child and go and tap musical pillars. That's what it is. There are 161 pillars in this temple. They are all 7 notes of music. Are you telling Indians were all idiots? They knew nothing. They were just praying morning to evening. Come on, think about it. Of course they were praying. But don't think, the mental model is, a rishi, you have to take your hands off and then sit. I will quote you from Chandogya Upanishad. In Chandogya Upanishad, in the 6th chapter, he says, Nalpe sukamasti, bhumavai sukam. He says, there is no charm in alpayar. Na alpe sukamasti, bhumavai sukam. Yad bhumi tat amritam, yad martyam tat alpam. A rishi is saying, not a CEO. A rishi is saying, go after big things in life. Where did all that go? Why are we like this today? Don't think Indians were all these religious sitting in one place looking at somewhere and then doing puja. They were doing it. Shankaracharya wrote actually 6,900 pages, 1920 it was published, his Bhashyas. 600 and 920, Vanivilas Press, Trichy. In Bhagavad Gita, he wrote a beautiful introduction. He didn't write to many of them. In Bhagavad Gita, he said, Dvavido vedokto dharmaha pravritti lakshano nivritti lakshanascha jagataha sthiti karanam sakshat praninam abhyudaya nishreyasa hetuhu. That sentence, I start my Bhagavad Gita course with that sentence and analyze it. We need pravritti and nivritti. You know what is happening today? Everybody says, go make money and become a useless fellow in life. Become a psychological wreck. Is this the way this society must go? We need pravritti dharma and nivritti dharma. The last sleep must be peaceful. We have to understand the art of dying, not art of living. We have to understand the art of dying. Shankaracharya said that. Pravritti dharma is as important as nivritti dharma. You can't swing the pendulum to one extreme. You should keep going. Every day we should come back and have a good sleep. That comes through what is called nivritti dharma. All these Indians knew. They have written in great detail. They have written how it is possible. So he was writing, why am I writing a commentary for Gita? So he said, this pendulum is just swinging too much. It's all on one side. Because I have told a lot of people to me, sir, I will retire at the age of 65. I will become spiritual. So I asked them, till yesterday you were all out for everything. Today come and sleep. Tomorrow morning you get up and spiritual. What Maya Jaliyar? Spiritual requires 30, 40 years. I am telling my youngsters, at the age of 20, if you become spiritual, you will be most successful in your profession. Spirituality uncoils a lot of energy from within. Spirituality is the only reason people will take courage. Otherwise, the entire Western literature is all about risk aversion. Today, youngsters, they get 2 marks less, go to the top of the building and fall. What the hell is this? That's not our culture. Our culture believed in pravritti and nivritti. Constantly we have to balance and go. Anyway, I just moved a little bit away from this. Look at this. I don't know how many of you know this. This is the second oldest dam in the world. There were 5 of them which were 2000 plus years old. Only one surviving. This is that fellow. The remaining 4 have perished. This is in a place called Kallanai, Tiruchirappalli. Trichy. This is called Kallanai. This is the second oldest dam built known to mankind in 2nd century BC. All others are gone. Britishers in 1832 or 33 put 2 more bricks and slightly increased it. What you see is now a refurbished structure. Structure was not rebuilt. It was Karikalan, one of the Chola, who built it in 2nd century BC. Indians are, in fact, I have been now reading the water management practices. Look at the step wells in Gujarat and Rajasthan. You will be stunned. Stunned by not just the aesthetics, not by the religion, but by their ability to actually harvest water. You go to Bihar, you have Ain and Pine systems of water management. Go to Tamil Nadu, you have Kanchipuram district had a complete governance, democratic governance mechanism of water management. We are very good in all these. Because it's a tropical country. Prosperity comes out of agriculture. Today we have put agriculture to 20% of GDP. For whatever reasons. A tropical country is where only in that plus or minus 33 degree of Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn only is diversity. All your riches are only there. Natural riches. We are in that belt. So this is what it is. Grand Anicut, oldest still in use dam. So they knew importance of water management. Structures which are living. This is what I was talking about, the step wells. Pakistan, you will see a lot of them. Rajasthan, you will see. Gujarat, you will see. It's an amazing piece to see how to harvest water. And there is a architecture book called Aparajita Pricha. If you read it, you get the details of how to construct these step wells. It's an architecture, no? It's all available in that Gujarat text. Aparajita Pricha. Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. People think Puranas are all about God and stories about God. Not many know there is something. You can't write Purana just like that. It's not like writing a paper today and getting it published. Purana has 5 Pancha Lakshanas. There are Dasha Lakshanas actually, of which Pancha Lakshanas are very important. Utsarga, Visarga, Vamsha, Vritti. There are five things are to be talked in every Purana. Which means origin of universe will be discussed in all the 18 Puranas. That's why people are now reading cosmology now. The origin of universe has to be one of the Lakshana and the dissolution of universe. Today, the biggest question science is confronting is to understand how the universe started and how the universe is going to end. The law of conservation of mass and energy is just tearing them apart. What is black hole here? Who created black hole? They say it's an infinite energy from which something will come suddenly and it will absorb anything, it will expand. All these are actually, Vittalacharya stories actually, with the complex mathematics and probability. Whereas Indians' conceptualization was very different. It was not creating something ab initio and then taking it away. Because that's where the boundary conditions are creating a problem for the modern science. For us, the origin of the universe and dissolution of the universe is modeled in a different way. So beautiful. Anyway, Vishnu Dharmottara Purana, there are a lot of, you may be wondering why these Ajanta and Ellora paintings are not evaporating. You buy Asian paints, whatever be their advertisement, in 4 years it is all gone. Whatever you do. Whereas those paintings are all in the open air. I went to a place in Sri Lanka called Sigariya. It's a fort. Okay, and Dambola caves. And the paintings are all some 2000 years old and nothing is happening. Then when I read this Dharmottara Purana and Brihat Samhita of Brahmagupta and all the Varaha Mihira, what I found was much depends on how do you prepare the wall before you paint. It's called Vajralepa. All those are described. What mixture you should apply before you apply the paint. Vajralepa. All those are actually perfumes. There is a beautiful chapter on perfumes. You want to teach permutation combination, you can use that chapter in math. It's a nice problem which will introduce the problem of permutation combinations and all that. Well, in Bhagavata Purana, which is a story about Lord Vishnu and Krishna in particular, and Harikathas are going all over the country, day in and day out. But there is a lot of science, there is a lot of interesting material also there. They choose to emphasize something, we can choose to emphasize something. I chose to emphasize Gita in a different way in my MBA elective. It allowed me to do that. So there is a description of what will happen to the fetus, and it closely resembles the modern science medical research. I'm not going to get into the details. What happens in the first 5 days, what happens in the next 10 days, first 2 months, what happens. The fetus is fully developed and starts breathing at the 5 months. Modern medical research is exactly saying that. There is an Agni Purana, there is again a conversation between Mitali, who is the charioteer of Indra. And there is even measure how many kilograms, how many liters of blood, all those are there. In Agni Purana, Vayu or Agni Purana, I don't remember. There is a conversation on this fetus. Just give you an idea of what else you can look for. Arthashastra, the entire Arthashastra is based on this Sapta Prakritaya. It says Swami, Amatya, Janapada, Durga, Kosha, Danda, Mitra, Sapta Prakritaya. The entire book is based on this. 7 elements of a Kautilyan state. Although it comes in book 6, I wish he had told it at the front. It is coming in book 6. 6.1.1 is this mantra. But as a business school professor, I found exact one-to-one mapping to a modern business corporation also. You have, CXOs, board and consultants who are the Amatya. You have employers, customers, channel partners, service providers who are the Janapada. I'm able to see the parallel actually. You have the strategic barriers. Durga is know-how and patent and etc., etc., etc. They are the Durga for you. Of course, finance is the same. If you're talking of Danda, you have audit, compliance, controls, welfare, accountability, CSR. If you read Arthashastra, you will be able to map it to this. And if you are talking of Mitra, you can talk about joint ventures, competition, alliances. I am able to see everything, and I teach my students like that. I am able to show them the parallels. And it's very interesting, and not for the heck of it. It's very interesting, actually, if somebody reads it carefully, assimilates it, takes some time, understand it in our own ways, and put it back. Vastu Shastra is, people told me, Vastu Shastra is all, you keep the window northeast, bedroom on. That's not Vastu Shastra. In fact, I taught a group of 40 builders for about 6 hours, Vastu Shastra. They're stunned. I said, you guys are all cheating public by doing all these kind of, we were very friendly, we were sort of talking. It's a classroom, professor has a little bit of a license to say a few things. But I showed them that Vastu Shastra has all these so beautifully laid out. In any Vastu Shastra text, you'll find all these. Why are our architecture people not teaching this? In Varaha Mihira's Brihad Samhita, he has said that the entire world of male human beings and the entire world of female human beings can be standardized with 5 humanoids each. That means the ratio of the face width to breadth, ratio of the upper limb to the lower limb, chest upwards to complete measurements he talks. I am wondering why not ready-made manufacturers read it. Shirt ready-made manufacturers can read it. He says there are only 5 possibilities. The entire Indian iconography uses that. Because we don't know that such things are there. So every time when I read, I get some, I'm just throwing all those ideas in front of you, don't get me wrong. Okay, I'll end by a few things. Question is, what happened? Okay. Clearly, it completely declined. Okay. And the interesting thing is, there is compelling evidence to say they knew. Because they were living structures. I am not talking floating on air. Just go and visit the temple here. Next time you go to a temple in South India or even in Khajuraho temple, you should spend 50 hours, try to understand what is going on there. Temple is the place where everything is available. The best of engineering, technology, culture, religion, sociology, whatever you want. Everything is available in temple because that was a meeting place. So I am talking about living tradition. I am not talking about some fancy stuff. Compelling evidence that they are all there. This book is based on living structures, texts which are available today. That is all I have, and archaeological evidence. You can dig it up and take also. I have used only 3 sources of evidence to write the book. Actual scriptures, living structures, nobody can challenge, Nellaiyappar temple, for example, and archaeological survey results. That's why I have written the book. So it's not based on some, dogmatic, I am trying to advance a particular religion. No, there is nothing religious about that book. It's about a great culture called India, which Indians, according to me, must know. But we have no inkling of this today. Very little awareness. Otherwise, well-educated, well-meaning people. I am not talking down anybody. We are otherwise well-educated, but we are zero on it, or we are actually misinformed. Either we are zero or we are misinformed. Now we have to ask, is this the way we have to go forward? This is a question I want every youngster sitting. I may not be here for another 20 years, I don't know. Many of you may be here for the next 50 years. I want you to ask that question. Do you have to live with that or you have to do something else? Please ask that question to yourself. You don't have to ask it or answer it to me. Why should we continue like this? We don't teach it. The moment you try to teach it, they say saffron agenda. I mean, it's nonsense. That's why in my Bhagavad Gita course, I have Muslims, I have Christians. Absolutely, they like it. Because I am a great devotee of Krishna. That is my personal preoccupation. I don't bring it to the classroom. I don't have to. But I run a weekly satsanga and many of my students for years are attending. So I do a pravachana which is different. But in a business school, I am a business school professor and I can bring it there. I am able to separate these two. I don't have a problem. What whatever is in use, this is the tragedy. Whatever is in use today, we call it as tribal. And we are tribal here. We have learned some nonsense from somewhere and then putting a pant and shirt and running here and there. The original knowledge is today sidelined into tribal. That's where India is still living. How many of us have time to go and check it out? Revive it? Because Britishers marginalized it. So we are following that. So what is living today is not in Bombay or not in Bangalore. You have to go into the deep woods and sea. Some of the greatest metallurgists are in Chhattisgarh. You have to go and see there. And they are also vanishing tribe. There is a place in Kerala called Aranmula. You should buy that mirror. That mirror is made of metal. Steel is, metal is polished. Your other mirror and all will pale in comparison. But such a small mirror will be some 5 kgs. Because it's solid metal. That tribe is vanishing. These idols that I am talking about, there are 2 more people in Kumbakonam and Tirunelveli. If that Stapati goes, probably that's the end. I don't know whether I should cry or what I should do. Should I get sleep? I don't know. That's the situation. We relied substantially on oral tradition. We never believed in writing. If you want Chandra Shastra, I'll come and say, Yamata Rajabana Salakam, in 1 hour I'll teach you Chandra Shastra. I don't need anything. I just need a piece of chalk piece and a blackboard. I'll read Yamata Rajabana Salagam. I'll say what is Lagu, what is Guru. I'll get the Ashtaganas and I say in about 45 minutes I'll get you a substantive amount of material because that's our style. Our style. I have learned like that went to some gurus and learned Ashtadhyayi like that. You say eco energy. With eco energy you can actually say what is happening. Sutras are like that. We have lost it. Because we stopped teaching it. Best way is to cut it off. Don't teach it. Father, grandfather, let it die. Ho gaya. Then put it in a museum piece and take on Sunday your children show. Once upon a time, this is what it is. We can show or something like that. We are more or less there. Well, for 700 years, this country was subject to foreign invasion. Not a year or two, 1200 onwards to 1900. 1100 onwards, 1200. I mean, how many universities were burnt? Manuscripts were burnt. Which society can wither this discontinuity? Please tell me. We have withered it. We will come back. I'll thumb the desk and say we'll come back. That's our providence. We will do it. It's a matter of time. Whether I will see it, I do not know, but I know it will happen. Right? No civilization can weather that kind of a thing. Priorities of what needs to be done is decided by those who actually are in power, na? So they will decide this is required, this is not required, you don't teach this, don't salary. See, today, every Indian in this country wants to do whatever he wants to do and go and sit in Infosys or TCS because that's where money is. And do tuck, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, that's all. So those in power and the economic wind can swing you somewhere. This is what Britishers did. Macaulay came and did that. He swung it to another direction. And it's about 200. We can actually celebrate 200 years of Macaulay in about 10 years from now. We should have a nationwide celebration for taking us out of a 8,000 year world of roots. Gandhiji called this as beautiful tree. In 1930, in Chatram House, he went to UK and said, "You have cut the roof." Gandhiji said, he called Indian education is beautiful tree. You have cut the root and then you don't know what is happening. You should read it. Very emotional talk. He said, Britishers, you destroyed our education here. It's a beautiful tree. You have just cut it. That's what Gandhiji said. Anyway, that's what history is. Skills were all completely eliminated. Production ban, mining ban. Then what will happen? In about 30, 40 years it will wane, no? That's it. This is what they did. So where do we go from here? Well, I think it's a long journey. I want to paint the journey. I think we need immediately to fight and win emerging IPO battle. Otherwise, we will be the biggest idiots in the world order. That's a very bad thing. If you still say nothing is happening to us, God, Daivam Manushya Rupena. God also will not come directly like show in movie, no, with some chakrakar and all that. God comes through people. If you are not taking heed of signals and advices, nobody on earth can save us. God also cannot save. God has already sent some messengers. There are many messengers in this country working today, making a change in the last 10 plus years, I think. But anyway, so we have to fight this. We have to identify application areas for immediate implementation. If you don't make it relevant, this talk will not go too far. And these are all, for first round it is okay. First course and first, all very nice feeling. After that, get back to the rubber must meet the road, no? Tire must meet the road. So we should start thinking about it. So we need deep studies in specialized areas, which means I am telling I may be a chemistry professor, I may be a mathematician, I may be a metallurgist, I may be a botanist. All of us have room. So instead of wasting time WhatsApp forwards and talking India is great and all that, I think we should take one book. That's how I started. I took one book and read a few pages. The 690-year-old banyan tree in Botanical Garden in Calcutta started with one leaf and two buds, or maybe two leaves and one bud. Today it is 690 years old, still surviving. Let's do that. In our area we'll choose. Maybe we'll do a small little study. IKS division is having a lot of money. If you're willing to write I'm part of the Government of India IKS. If you're willing to write good proposals, we will support you. There's good money available. Do some sensible research. We are ready to fund. And move, pay a few. The step into the moon is nothing but a giant leap of faith when you put the first step. That's all we need today. Let us be very practical. I don't want to talk some fancy things. And to do all that, we should know that IKS is actually a toolbox. Let us know the toolbox. I mean, if you give me a toolbox with a cutting plier and screwdriver and I don't know what it is, what will I do here? First, I should know there is something called a cutting plier. It can be used for this kind of things. A spanner can be used for this kind of things. Screwdriver can be used. You first get to know IKS. And then let us talk about what do we do. That slowly we'll get to know. This is the way to go. And in this journey, I wrote this book. God has been kind to me. I got an opportunity to write this book. It's called Indian Knowledge Systems, Concepts and Applications. What I gave you is a trailer of that book, actually, in some ways. 14 chapters. I am not interested in glorifying this country. I think that will go not too far. I am not interested in taking positions that Hinduism is great. I am not interested in all that. That's my personal disposition. I want to say what I saw. And I found there was something interesting. Rest is ours. Let us decide what to do with that. That's how this book has been written. 14 chapters. It's first of its kind in independent India. Because there's nothing in English or, all these are very high level material in Sanskrit. That's the problem. So we have to bring it in Marathi. So we are trying to translate it into other languages. We have been thinking about it. Of course, the first version is in English. Unfortunately, the higher education systems are largely in English. So it is in English. It's available in Amazon. E-book is available. Hard copy is also available. PHI also is available. Please buy and read it or, see it. You will make your own sense of what it is. It has 4 parts. There is a first part which is the Chaturdasha Vidyasthana, a little bit of Chaturdasha Vidyasthana. But there is a second part, very beautiful part. It was an eye-opener for me. Number systems, what Indians have done, nobody can do. Today, the entire mathematical discovery is only because India found 0. It's impossible. In fact, there is an exercise in my book. Please write the velocity of light using Roman numerals. Biggest Roman numeral is m. So you have to write 3 into 10 power 5 times m. It's imposition. The 10 power 8 which we use today is Indians' discovery. Decimal system 0 to 9 and powers are all Indians' contribution. For which you needed a 0. So I have given examples like that. 3 into 10 power 8, please write in Roman numerals. And let us see what happens. Then you'll understand what Indians did and so on. I'm like that. There are many things. Then you have the third part where I have mathematics, astronomy, engineering, technology, town planning. Then I have a last part in which I have health, wellness, psychology, and public governance and administration and so on. I have all these in the form of 3 MOOC courses. Please feel free to enroll. It's all free for students, teachers, whoever wants. I put it in 3 streams. One stream is engineering and technology. Second, I've taken the chapters in a certain combination and created 3 out of the same 14 chapters, basically. Right? course is starting. There are already about, I think, 6,000 people have already registered, I think. And it will be, let me promise you, it will be a state-of-the-art MOOC. My MOOC on operations management from 2016, I offer 3 times a year. 20,000 people from 200 countries take it. I have made how many? 25 offers so far. In IIM Bangalore, we have a very high-level approach to designing the videos, embellishing it with a lot of graphics. So you'll enjoy it. If not anything else, you'll certainly enjoy it. I'll promise it for you. We really do a good MOOC, and we are all some of the earlier founders of this MOOC business in India, actually. Okay, so they are all available. Course begins on July 30. All that you have to go is get into swayam.gov.in and simply search for IKS. These 3 courses will pop up. You register depending upon your taste and whatever you want to register. All the 3 also register, but there are a lot of overlaps. You can start with one and so on. You can enroll. And you can give me some feedback if you feel like. But I want you to do it more for your personal interest. As an Indian, I want you to open and see what is there. Okay, I will stop here with a story. Just I'll take a minute. Bear with me for that. There was a temple. In many temples, as you go in, there are a lot of beggars sitting and asking for alms, which is part of what we have seen. So there were a couple of beggars sitting on a wooden dabba, asking for alms. One sannyasi was sort of going to enter into the temple. So this man asked for alms. Sannyasi looked at him and said, I am also supposed to beg. So what can I give you? I am also supposed to beg. Then he told, you are sitting on a wooden plank, no? There was a lock. Can you open and see it? Then this beggar said, sir, I am a 5th generation beggar. My great-grandfather sat on the same dabba. My grandfather, my father, now I am sitting. This was a reply. Then the sannyasi said, fine, I understand what you are saying, but I want to tell you something. Whether you sit on the dabba for 1 hour or 1 million hours, doesn't matter as long as you open and see it. And he went away. After a few days, this last sentence was just, this beggar thought maybe there is something that the sannyasi is saying. So what he did, that lock and all he cannot open, he took a big stone, broke open the lock, he opened it, it's full of gems and gold and diamond. So he was sitting on it and begging. I leave the rest to you to find out what is this story and who is this and all that. Thank you. I'm sorry, I must have taken a slightly longer time. Bear with me for it. I get a little emotional when I keep talking. I've taken a lot of time. I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir. I thank Professor Mahadevan for the insights you have provided today on the relevance of, one, protecting our received wisdom, which is coming from Indian knowledge tradition, sir. You have also given insights on importance of documenting traditional knowledge to provide evidence for prior knowledge, and you spoke about 2 cases in that reference. You also spoke about how do we do integration of IKS, and you gave several examples, whether it was town planning, whether it was management, metallurgy, and the kind of insights which are existing within India, which possibly sometimes we do not appreciate, we do not understand. And you referred to, and this audience and gathering is that of academicians and students, so you referred to them that why there is a need for deep studies in IKS, whether it is mathematics, architecture, management, and need for integration and immediate implementation of IKS. I now invite audience present today to put across questions and answers to Professor Mahadevan. You can raise your hands, yes.
Thank you very much. We have told you I was better off without. Yeah. Okay, I apologize. Sir, that was a most revealing and insightful lecture. Thank you very much. As a language person, I teach language, I study language, I'm interested in all languages in the world. Don't you think we should begin with studying Sanskrit? All education in the West necessarily includes Latin and Greek. Whereas Sanskrit is an option for us, sir. Don't you think that's where our first problem lies?
Low of it. So I went to US in 1999. After a 27-hour journey, I was tired. I'm a very strict vegetarian. So I looked around and there was one corner shop. I went there. In US, potato chips are sold in gunny sacks. It will be this big. Gunny sacks. So I went and bought one gunny sack of Lay chips. And I bought one, some juice or something. I asked how much is this? He said some $1.75, $73. That is some $32. As he keeps saying, the number started running in my mind. So already it's 2.05 for me. 1.73 plus 3.32 is 2.05. So I bought some 2-3 things. So I pulled my dollar bill. You know what the gentleman did? He tried it 2 times in the calculator, same number came. He tried it 2 times, these 4, 5 numbers. Most of our people are doing that today. This is the contribution you have done to this country. Take you out of rote learning. But how do you say it? How do you do it? You say rote learning is bad. Who told you that? Westerners told you. So in the same way, how do you take out your legacy? Say language is very, Vargiya. It's all only, Brahmins or somebody will use it. It is for subjugating and all that. As long as we fall prey to it, we'll be eternally condemned. I think Sanskrit is such a beautiful language, such a logical language, and even more than that, if you learn Sanskrit, you will actually pick up a lot of Indian languages just like that. I mean, there is every reason why we are, I don't know why we are waiting. What are we waiting for? Such a beautiful language. I learned Sanskrit being from Tamil Nadu, anti-Hindi, all kinds of things. I have never known Devanagari script also. And when I came to my first PU, somebody said, hey, you take Sanskrit, you'll get more marks. And unfortunately, Sanskrit does not know English. So he'll write Gavaskar hit a century, he'll put a tick and 80 marks around that. This is how I learned Sanskrit. I am sorry to say that. But after that, my world opened. And I realized this was such a beautiful language. And a lot of your thinking process will change. So I agree with you. See, I think she has something to say. Go ahead. Yeah, please.
Yeah. Sir, whatever you put in by way of the slides on IKS, is there a reality today that some of it can be actually taught to the school children? Because today what we learn is what the Englishman told us as the knowledge which came from the West. But all this knowledge which has been already there, how closer are we to the reality that this can be put into the school syllabus?
Okay. Sir, Government of India appointed NCERT curriculum is being changed. Many of you may be aware. National Curriculum Framework, Kastur Rangan is heading that panel. That has 26 groups. National level groups. There are state level groups also. I happen to chair the national group on IKS, Indian Knowledge System, by which you are writing this book, and I think somebody told, the minister told, I think you should head this. Sir, we have written 70 pages of how to bring it to the school. There is a way to do it. In fact, our interest is more to say that what our children lack today is rootedness in the culture. Language and all that will come later, sir. Today, in IA in Bangalore, I stopped interview after that. 15 years I'm not interviewing students for my MBA. My director is upset, my admission chair is always upset. I asked, if you ask, some 1700 or 1432, a Roman poet, some question they answer. If I ask what is the Trimurti of India, then they try all kinds of cinematic characters. Is this the way we want to, build our society? Huh? And I asked my students, can you please draw an Indian map approximately on the board and you want to come to IA in Bangalore? Put a dot there. Plus or minus 100 miles I am willing to take. These guys fail miserably. What are we teaching? And first standard onwards, we have computer science, moral science, immoral science, everything is there. Environmental science, 100 on 100. And we make a filth out of this country. I mean, we have a serious problem with our education. So we have written a 70-page document in which we have said, how do you account this? There are a lot of implementation challenges. But I think it's not a good idea to run away from that. The first edition may be bad, not perfect, but it will be a turn. The turn is more important now. We have a group of good number of people. We did a lot of brainstorming, and there is a position paper we have given. But sometimes what happens, you give something to the government body, we don't know what happens after that. But I think there is a seriousness now. I think she has been waiting for a while. Can you please give her that?
Sir, it was great listening to you, and you extended the lecture. We did not feel that you are extending. We felt that we should listen to you some more. Sir, the area which you were speaking, I once gave a presentation on ancient India. That was just a small part of this. The problem today with these kind of topic is students. Now, all we are sitting here, we all are, I would say, we all are matured enough, and we are interested to take all this, what you are saying. The problem here with student is, whenever we are coming up with such topic, we have to forcefully make them sit in particular hall, or we have to tell them that we are giving credit points, some kind of benefit we have to show, then only they are sitting. And what will happen today is, like, suddenly we got a notice that we have to go and attend, so we are attending today, but then we'll go home, we are enjoying, and then we are sitting. So our major job is to how to put it to that generation. Basically, all the environment is telling them to divert from all this core what we had. So basically, I would say Bollywood say it's a kida of our society. I would say dance drama में तो लोग बच्चे मिल जाते हैं, but when come to these kind of things, we are very unfortunate that, and we have to make them sit forcefully. So we have to find out a solution where that interest is generated.
Okay. You have raised a very important point. I'm happy that you brought it, right? You have to understand, I hope you understand the word cool. You have to be cool. You understand what cool means today? You should ask your you are reasonably younger than me, so probably you would know. You have to first make this cool. Only then, first of all, they were not going to otherwise take whatever you do. However be the merits of the case, you have to make it cool. Now you say, sir, you are just saying a word and running away from this. I'll give you examples of cool. My Bhagavad Gita is very cool. Coolest, if I have to use a word. See, I teach Triguna. 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita is only on gunas, actually. It starts from a 19th sloka in chapter 13. Then Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, Deva Sri Sampat, then Shraddhatraya Vibhaga, then chapter 18 up to 40th sloka is full of gunas. Do you know how I teach gunas to them? And they come and say, sir, we'll never forget it in our lifetime. And they are very engaged. I put a Microsoft PowerPoint on the screen. I draw a dabba, fill it with a red color. Then I say, how do you get a green color? So there is a color palette, RGB. So they now understand. If you want a green color, the number in RGB, these numbers will vary from 0 to 255. You can go and try it. So I show them two sets of tables. In one set of table, all kinds of colors are there from black to white. In between, there are so many colors. For each of them, there will be a RGB number. For black, it will be 000. For white, it will be 255, 255, 255. And in between, there are all kinds of combinations. I show that first. Then I ask them, what do you see here? Very heated discussion will happen, very engaged discussion will happen. Then I go to the second slide. There you will find all shades of blue. It will be light blue, surf blue, indigo blue, this blue, that blue, today, Asian Paints will give you 100 pages of blue alone. Your painting wall is not easy today, because they give you such a big thesis. You have to give code number and all that. So I give a second page of full of blue. Then I ask my students, what do you see here? It takes a while, but students finally tell me, sir, if one of the three is dominant, the RGB, no? If you want all shades of blue, that B must be between 255 and 210. That is RGB. You go and try it. If it is between 210 and 255, you do anything with the other two, you will only get blue. With this, with these two, they are fully, now they will understand. So there is a law of guna dominance in 10th shloka in chapter 14 is there. And then the 3 gunas are described there. With all that I will teach. Every session of my Bhagavad Gita lecture starts with a TEDx video or a video from Ink video or something. It is very cool, so to speak. I'm glad you brought it. Please change with time. You will become irrelevant. Vice Chancellor is here. He will give you full support. I am telling you. As long as you don't do anything immoral, you are not covering your syllabus. I think as teachers, we must, this is the charm teachers have to bring to the table. Otherwise, you will never get IKS. I see entirely what you are saying. So, change your pedagogy. I have what is called, in my Bhagavad Gita evaluation, the significant component is called experiential learning. You know what my students do? Some students, they know there is an experiential learning component. One student 2 years back, sir, 6 months back, I fixed a 1 week stay with a farmer in Gadag or somewhere in Karnataka. I stayed there for 1 week, so they have to come and give me a 4-page report of their experience of doing something, which I have some parameters. He lived with the farmer and submitted a report. I think he must have understood more Bhagavad Gita than what I would have actually taught. So we have to be very creative. That is the responsibility that we should bring. The joy of students coming into the class will increase. That is what a teacher wants. See, a person who is doing a Shehnai or a Hindustani, after 3.5 hours of music, with people said that, you thoroughly enjoyed and you have transformed, he will be ready for another 3 hours non-stop. We are all performing artists. Bring that out. Make it cool. They will love it. They'll come back and tell you, madam, you seeded my life. That is the joy of a teacher. Yes, madam. In fact, there are any number of YouTube videos will come out of it. You will find some very good YouTube videos. I use plenty of YouTube videos. See, there is one chapter called Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. Who are you? I bring a video of that girl who was thrown out of a speeding train in Raebareli, that athlete, Arunima Sinha. I show the TEDx talk for 18 minutes. My entire chapter on Kshetra, they all know who am I. It speaks volumes. So you have to make that connection. You don't have to get the artist here. You'll get the artist effect much better. So that is the job of next generation of teachers. I want you to understand there is multimedia around us. There is so much material available. Students can read more than what you can read. So you have to actually make a difference. Fortunately, we went through a system where we don't have to worry about all that. There is a textbook I will read and then tell you. There is no way you will figure out what it is. So we have to change, and we can do all that, madam, not at all difficult. Yeah.
see on television at face value. So the Indian knowledge system should promote questioning also.
Well, I will tell you, this is the only culture in which we believe there cannot be one God. You have to question every damn thing here. This is the only culture which had the democracy of thought. That we took away 200 years back. We had to bring it back. We were very much like that. You know, in Taittiriya Upanishad, the son asked, this is called Varuni, Bhargavi Varuni Vidya. The son goes to the Rishi, father, Bhrigu. He asks, what is Brahman? He says, get lost, I won't tell you, go and find out. And then he goes and then, Tapasa Brahma Vijijñāsasva, Satapo Tapyeta, Satapas Taptva, Idaham Sarvam Asrijata. He just came back and said, this is what Brahman. I said, go and find out. And he challenged. He said, in fact, there is one Ajata Shatru. He told the Rishi, you guys are useless here. That's why you are coming to me. I am a Kshatriya and you are all Brahmins and you can. They said, sir, your knowledge I don't have. I should come. This country practiced phenomenal democracy, of course. That's why we have 18 Mahapuranas. We should have been happy with one Purana, like one Bible. Everything should be only by that. Cookie cutter. That itself shows we had a culture of not having to take. Because we are, in fact, the Indian system is all are not same. This communist idea of all are same is a terribly bad idea. But all are unique. They are two different words, two different sentences. All are same is not the same as all are unique. This country as a culture, 1,000 flowers must blossom. My interest is different from your interest. You reach God in your way, I reach God in my own way. I have a God-man who does all kinds of things which doesn't interest you. Theek hai. You have a God-man which doesn't interest me. Both of us will coexist and go. So it was there. Somehow in our teaching we have taken all that out. Because that is what we have been all trained in the last 150 years. Take a stick and then hit them and then what I say you have to listen, nothing more. These are all very alien to us. So we should encourage a lot of discussion. I think it's very important.
In view of time limitation, we will not be able to put across many questions to sir. One last question and with that, yes.
Yeah.
Only one, huh?
Here is a young man, yes. No, let him ask, yeah. Yeah. Okay, take the mic, please. Yeah.
I got to one school, namely Gurukul. There was only one teacher, which has hugely impact on my life. Still now I call him whenever I got a problem. Speaking that 5th, 6th, 7th standard, I studied there 3 years. I had admission in my school, but we asked to concession for our holidays that we need to prepare for competitive exams. There, when I was in 5th standard, I didn't know 2's table. Until I reached 7th, I was expert in 10th mathematics. So he didn't taught us the formulas, but he taught us to how to read and how to take in. We used to practice prayers 7 in the morning and 7 p.m. at evening, namely Atara Shishya at morning and Ram Raksha in evening. So at that time I didn't understand the importance and what the hell are you saying? It was really hard for me. We only had 2 meals, but it was unofficial, totally unofficial. Only 21 students were there. Every year there are 21 students, 5th standard to 7th standard, and my sir is also getting old. He taught us that way. So when I got back to my previous school in 8th standard, I realized a much greater difference, because in 8th standard all were studying, working hard, and I said, why should I should enjoy my life? And I know that I solved that NCERT textbook 3 times for my 7th standard exam. RMC, that Rashtriya Indian Military College School in Dehradun. I failed and I've never passed one exam up till date. Sorry to say that, but sir never told that you are a failure. He asked us to look inside us and what we love. I love to spend time with my friends, do it, but at a margin. Balance up all. So my question is that why there are no such teachers?
Yeah, so, okay. No. There is a very interesting point. I will give a counter story to it. My daughter went to a top musician. And if you learn from top musician, It's Gurukul. It's not, So she went to a really top musician, and for a 40-minute class, she'll spend 2.5 hours. So generally, me or my wife drops her in Bangalore and then get her back and so on. After a while, I started thinking, what is going on here? 40 minutes is the class and 3 hours she is spending. So I started peeping in and seeing what is happening. I had the greatest lesson in my life when I connected it when I went to a rural school. You know what was happening? This is the strength of Gurukul, which the Britishers again took it. You know what was happening? She was sitting there, the teacher will make her sit doing nothing for 40 minutes when the seniors are learning. Actually, she is learning much ahead of the seniors. Shravana. 40 minutes is gone on that. Then 40 minutes she learns whatever her current lessons are. The teacher, the guru, will make her teach the junior students for the next 40 minutes.
Sir, exactly that was happening there.
Okay.
Exactly same. We were
Now,
sitting with 10.
This was in my mind. I went to a rural school near Bangalore. One of my friends comes from US, we go. All government schools are like that. One room, 42 students, first standard to fifth standard. And what he said was true. That third standard student was better than the seventh standard student because there is a lateral learning. You know what power of Gurukul? Lateral learning. Here we have compartmentalized everybody. Sixth standard, sit and do the same nonsense. Right? And have some useless competition kind of a thing. It is time we change it. I don't know who is going to change it. This methodology of teaching was our strength. You learn because kids are like camphor. You may think they may not learn. They will learn 20 languages if you let them. The age of 8 to 18 is like a camphor. We created a beautiful system for it. It's called Gurukul, where all youngsters, elders, all in one room and all kinds of things will be happening simultaneously. We may think what is happening. Phenomenal learning, what he says will happen. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for this observation. Thank you for your time. I enjoyed, a lot of you are sitting here patiently till the end. I once again thank the Vice Chancellor for this beautiful opportunity to interact with you. Thank you.
I understand that there are several questions which are going around in your mind, but due to limitation and paucity of time, we will not be able to take them. Thank you so much, sir. I now invite our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Ravindra Kulkarni, sir, to offer his presidential remarks.
My Kundalini is there in Google. You just use some email or...
Today's esteemed plenary speaker, Professor Mahadevan, and all my faculty colleagues. It was indeed a great 1 hour beautiful scientific journey across Indian knowledge system. Professor Mahadevan has taken us through a splendid journey of different aspects of Indian knowledge system, whether it is metallurgical sciences, whether it is architecture or civil engineering, or whether it is mathematics, astronomy. So beautifully he has illustrated variety of the aspects of Indian knowledge system, which we would like to make it as a part of curriculum. Friends, this was in fact the first day of our 7 days celebration of national education policy, wherein we were supposed to carry variety of the aspects connected to implementation of national education policy, which is being implemented by Government of Maharashtra across all universities and autonomous colleges from this academic year. And Indian knowledge system naturally was the first topic to be chosen across that, primarily because although the word has been coined at multiple times, but probably as a teacher we need to admit that we know very little about that. Since it has to be a scientific way of illustration of Indian knowledge system, naturally we need to have a very good curricular background, we need to have a very scientific references, we need to have a right text. And from that angle, Professor Mahadevan, the book which he and other authors have written, and it was the first reference book to be accepted by AICT. So that has formed the basis of IKS version across India. When as a part of committee on national education policy, when we were writing on variety of the chapters of curricular framework, so we were puzzled say, let me admit before Professor Mahadevan, we were really puzzled how to write a chapter on IKS. So whether it's major, minor, and other verticals connected to curricular framework were easily written, but IKS, probably there was very little literature available on that. And when at that particular time, one of my relative at IIT Delhi has introduced me to the text written by Professor Mahadevan, and there I probably could understand what IKS really means, the way it has to be taught in a scientific way, with the way it has to be connected with the IPR rights, the way one need to undertake research through a original documented literature which is available in Sanskrit, Pali, or other languages. And that's how the journey began, and we could write one chapter thanks to Professor Mahadevan. And from that day onwards, I was just continuously trying to call him, that please come here. When I was working as a pro chancellor, we thought of inviting him, but that was a COVID period. So in fact, he agreed to deliver one lecture, but then because of COVID sickness, he could not deliver. So from that period onwards, I was just trying to follow him, and by accident only, I just called him, and he said he is in Mumbai only. So that's how we could connect him to the entire audience of University of Mumbai, of different colleges and university campuses. So thanks to Professor Mahadevan for agreeing immediately for delivering this plenary talk. Friends, now I think our responsibility begins. In fact, through his presentation, he has given various examples. But during question answer session, it was more of happiness of teaching and joy of learning. That's how majority of the questions were connected to. Naturally, national education policy also looks after that we need to have a very innovative way of teaching and learning sessions, so that it really becomes a creation of analytical way of thinking, creative mode of abilities, and as well as critical aspects connected to knowledge. So let us see that when we are talking about 2 credit curricular framework as a generic IKS at first year, and probably when we are talking about subject specific IKS as a part of curriculum, so one need to be very careful. One need to be always looking at scientific evidences only. So don't just depend on like WhatsApp or internet. Okay, it's better way to go for different references. If you read his textbook, you will find lot of references, cross references under each heading, whether it is mathematics, whether it is metallurgical engineering, whether it is shipbuilding, or whether it is philosophy, whether it is public administration. Everywhere you will find lot of cross references being given by him. So let us go through those original references also and build a curriculum based on scientific evidences which could be taught as a treasure of knowledge under IKS to our students. And that definitely, like the example which he has cited in the last, the story which he has cited in the last. Okay, we need to keep that story always in mind, that like we are looking at a treasure, we are trying to build up a curriculum which will bring our students to that treasure, so that in a years to come, we will have a very good teaching, learning, as well as the research itself. As he has already pointed out, IKS has a separate website under like AICT, and they do always ask for submission of the projects. So one can look at like only basic requirement for submission of that project is that you need to have at least one who understand the original text. Okay, so reading through English probably is an easier way, but one need to have a, like when you are submitting a project in a group, let us have at least one who could read original scripts. So that is one of the conditions for applying and submission of the project. I hope across autonomous colleges as well as University of Mumbai, we will have definitely 5 or 6 research projects which could be submitted and sanctioned. Thereby, the continuous journey of research across IKS will continue, and in years to go, we will have a right way of documentation, a right way of design of the curriculum, and right way of conducting research in near future. So that was basic objective of having this plenary lecture. So I again extend sincere thanks to Professor Mahadevan, and I extend sincere thanks to all autonomous colleges, affiliated colleges, as well as university campus teachers who attended this session in a large number. So it was, he said like he just went on extending 1 hour, but I think nobody could realize whether it was really a 1 hour journey. Okay, it was probably such a beautiful talk that everybody was very well engaged. So thanks to you again. And with this, okay, we will keep on working on different aspects of national education policy as a part of implementation over this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I now invite Professor K. Shanti, Director HRDC UGC, to give vote of thanks. Thank you, sir.
Respected Chief Guest Professor Mahadevan, Professor IIM Bangalore, the speaker for today's program, Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, Professor Kulkarni, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Ajay Bambre, Professor Smita Shukla, IQC Coordinator, other dignitaries who have graced the occasion. On behalf of University of Mumbai, NEP Cell, UGC HRDC, and IQSC, University of Mumbai, it's my pleasure to thank Professor Mahadevan for his excellent talk on Indian education system, Indian knowledge system, time to reclaim lost ground. It's a well-known fact that during our long civilization and history, our forefathers have developed a knowledge system that used to be the envy of the world. It is also known that the University of Nalanda and Vikramshila were the Harvards and Wattons of the ancient world. Students all over the country flocked to these centers of learning. Over a period of time, these legacies have been forgotten basically due to the influence of the Western educational system. However, it's important that we should recall our past legacy and build on it. Sir, we are very thankful to you for your inspirational speech and for demystifying IKS for all of us. We are thankful to our Vice Chancellor, who is the motive force for this program, and his address today was quite motivational. We are thankful to Dr. Ajay Bambre, our Pro Vice Chancellor, sir, and the Chairman of NEP Cell for this initiative. We are thankful to the Academic Council members, Board of Studies members, heads and faculty from university departments, principals, directors, management representatives of affiliated colleges, and students who are attending this talk in large numbers in spite of the cloudy weather. We also thank Dr. Sunil Patil, Director DSW, the other officials and staff of university, Alkesh Dinesh Modi, GAD, UCC, Green Technology, and all the other departments and sections for their timely support and help for this program. We hope all the participants had a great learning experience, and I'm sure my fellow organizers also enjoyed in conducting this program. Thank you, and we'll break for a cup of tea. Tea is arranged? Yeah, you can please conclude.
So tea, biscuits, coffee is arranged. Please have.